Ah, partial sanity. The cat was probably loud. Greetings, my name is Brian. Welcome to KillCo Whiskey Musings. Except there's no whiskey today. This is actually going to be a dry live stream because I don't like the idea of promoting taking your medication and then taking whiskey with it. It's not a good idea. Don't do that. Do I do that sometimes? Well, technically, no. Not really. Unless I'm up really late. I mean, later. Usually my medication and my alcohol do not get in touch unless I'm up, 10 o'clock and still finishing my drink I started at 7. By then, the alcohol is going through my system very slowly. Not an excuse, just an observation. So, you want to learn about bipolar. In the wrong place. I mean, I have it. Been diagnosed with it, I felt it, I know it. I have to take medication 3 times a day because of it. And other things. I think it's supposed to be bipolar 2 and anxiety are the real ones for this. The pills I take. I will tell you what they are simply because people who may think they have the disorder or are talking to someone about medication, I am just telling you what I take. The legalities of all this is I am not a doctor. Don't try to take this as it's like, it's a cure. It isn't. If it were a cure, I wouldn't be talking about it right now. I'd be fine. But the truth of the matter is I will never be just fine. That's the other part about all this. When you get bipolar 2 or bipolar 1, and not get, you just have it, it is a lifelong condition. There is no cure. I will not just suddenly be all right. And unfortunately, it's going to affect me forever, as long as I'm alive. And I don't think people really are aware of that. I think you're bipolar and it's just something you take medications for and you're just going to go on your day. No. It's every second of every day. All the time. Let's see what's going on here. Did I do it? I didn't. Balls. You're going to see me black out for a second. Don't worry about it. Something you have to worry about. We did that already. Forgot to unclick that. Alright, now, let's see if that worked. Let's see if that worked. There we go. Then boot. We have a visitor, somebody popping in and out. Cool. Pay attention to your visitor. Don't worry about this. If you have people over, pay attention to them. As much as I encourage people to watch this channel. You got a guest, worry about the guest. Give them all the whiskey. So I can recommend. Kitty says, Scotch down under his back. I didn't see that. Whiskey on the west coast. Then here, full day for me. Busy, busy, busy. So many people to stare at. And moderate. I imagine that's why you're there to begin with. Like, this is fun. Who's this? Get out. Tater down. Hello. I don't know what that was. Welcome. This is kind of a Q&A thing. I'm just going to talk about my condition until someone starts asking questions that I can attempt to answer. Because really all I can do is talk about the way I live. The starting point is I didn't actually get diagnosed until I was probably 28, 29, maybe even 27. I'm not even, 7's a good number. But I'm not even sure anymore. It was that long ago. But you have to understand that it's something that started up very likely when I was a teenager. I guarantee I did some things that didn't make sense. I had some, like, teenager erratic behavior is one thing, but I had some really no super extremes that I can tell you about. Bipolar 1 and bipolar 2 are separate. Bipolar 2 is a very serious condition. Bipolar 2 is also a serious condition, but it has less extremes. I have been manic before. I know what it's like to skirt that line of sanity and you've lost your mind. And it's not great. I was trying to think of a way to describe it as far as like what you're experiencing at the time. And I've had a few, and this is the one I've like organized today, is that you're in a car with someone and you're in the passenger seat. That's you. This is when you're manic. And then there's this other part of you that's driving. And they're driving a little sketch. Like, they're doing stuff that you think is not a good idea. But because they're driving, you can't really do anything about it. You don't even say anything. You just, like, look at them. And I think trying to tell them with your eyes, slow down. Don't cut people off like that. You know, stop giving people the finger. All that kind of stuff. But you're not the one driving. It's a very surreal feeling when you're in your own head, looking through your own eyeballs, knowing that you're not the one who's controlling things exactly as you should, as you normally would. Like, you're still yourself, everything's still the same, you're still you, but you're acting not like yourself. You're acting a very different way. And the worst part about it is people think you're doing great, because you're in such a good mood. You're doing so much. You're just all over the place, doing everything you can. You're talking really fast. Yeah. If you go back to any of the videos I did in 2019, where I call myself Mr. K, that was when I was manic. Because I was disassociating to that point. Almost. I was calling myself Mr. K. And I've kept that little trick because of Starbucks. That's my little joke. A little reminder of where I can go if I'm not careful and not taking my medication, which it's been very nice to finally get that. That is a big important part of all this, is they have to get to see someone and they have to prescribe you the medication that works. That can take 10 years to figure out, unfortunately. Ugh, like it did with me. I had to see at least 3 or 4 different people trying to figure out medications that worked, and dealing with the fact that I have a adverse reaction to medications, a sensitivity, if you will. So the side effects that can happen are not great, to the point where they happen and I go, no, this is not the medication I want to take. No thank you. If I have to go through this just to maybe feel better, no, I'll pass. Give me something else, something that doesn't do that to me. But the meds I take are called gabapentin and lamotrigine. And honestly, I think some of them, or at least one of them, I looked it up last night or the night before, so of course I've forgotten. But the one of them is supposed to be for seizures. So it's doing stuff to your brain in a good way, because I don't have seizures, and I know the other one is supposed to help with anxiety, which it does a little bit, because I know I've been worse. Like not leaving my apartment for a long time because I felt so anxious. And I still feel it. That's the other part of it. But with bipolar specifically, it's highs and lows. So if you have... I'm trying to describe the feeling. Mania is kind of like being a child, honestly. Because children don't have that... the control of what they should and shouldn't do in the moment. Where, as an adult, when you're older... You understand the social stuff slightly better. I still get very concerned about social interactions. That's a different problem entirely. I don't think I read social things quite right, and it causes me to get a certain reaction and start to feel a certain way. Not great. It's not great feeling like you don't understand what's happening or why. Like why people do certain things in certain situations. Hard to explain. That's my point. Yeah, mania is like being a kid, where you have a lot of energy, and you want to do all the things, and if someone tries to interrupt that, it can put you in a very bad mood, and you can act out. You'll have a tantrum. Not a real tantrum, but you will like get in their face and be like, hey man, there's the possibility of getting in altercations, accidents, overspending, and what's the other one? Oh yeah, sexual situations. You start to become very indiscriminate, or some people do. I do not, thankfully. My social problem with not dealing with, like, not liking to be around people because of that issue, that saved me from a lot of bad decisions, I hope. I like to think. Still haven't been in great relationships in the past, though. Some good, mostly not. For one reason or another. One was abusive. That was awesome. Not me. The other one. That sucked. I like to think about it. It was not a good time. And unfortunately, the couple next door remind me of it on a regular basis because of how they are. What's my point? Bipolar 2. Yeah. So it's also a medical condition that keeps you from functioning as most people generally do. Like the stereotype that I think of is people get up at some point in time, go to work, come home, do a few things before they go to bed, and then get up and go to work again. All the while doing a heck of a lot of other stuff. Meals in particular are an interesting one. And they get through it just fine. Like there's no like serious issues. There's work stress, there's family stress. But since their mood is stable, like they're generally like, all right, I'm doing what I'm doing and I'm fine with it. And there are little shifts, I assume, or well, in how you're doing and how you're feeling and certain situations that you get in. But you handle it. It's fine. You just go through it. Again, I'm assuming. I know there are a lot more different. This is a very general idea of what I think it's like because it was the thing I was trying to do in my younger days. So let's say from 18 till 30, I was trying to do the things that people do, like going to school and getting an education. I'm lucky I graduated high school, for one. I didn't think college was a good idea because it absolutely wasn't. I tell myself money was the problem. That's a very small part of it. It's the fact that I would not have done well in that environment. Like I would have gone and probably caused some real serious problems for myself, financially and relationship-wise, because I hung out with my friends in college, in their college, and I did some impulsive things that could have gone very wrong had I not just been, dumb luck. I won't go into that here. If you want to know more, you got to be a patron or a channel member. Most likely a patron. I don't want to put a lot of personal past history on YouTube, other than the generalization of college days. Did stupid things. True. Then I went to school eventually to get certified as a graphic designer. So I know to use Photoshop, which apparently turned out to be a good thing for now. I can make thumbnails without too much of a problem. Yay, thumbnails. I admit the one I made for this one today is because of, obviously, Vincent van Gogh. I don't know how to say his last name properly. But finding out that he was bipolar, or they feel like he was, due to his, his notes and the behavior. Like, he cut off his ear. That is what bipolar can do to you. You could just you can go into a state of mind where you go, you know what, I'm going to cut my ear off, and you do. You think it's a good idea. That's the level of mania. That's where it can go. I'm assuming he was bipolar 1, because that's an extreme. I don't even, it's just like... And that's the danger of bipolar for the person and for others around them, is that it can get to that extreme, and that it can be... You can get to the point where you're delusional. And this is generally bipolar 1, keeping that in the front. And this is what I've heard and what I've been told, is that bipolar 1 can send you into outer space in terms of what you think and what you believe. And you really believe it. Like, people think they've been reincarnated as the next Messiah and stuff. And you're like, yes, I have. And, thinking they once had dinner with, the pharaohs of old, because they used to be an Egyptian god. Wild, outrageous stuff like that. Or they're going to build a castle with their 2 hands. You can do it, but it's probably not a good idea. Especially in this park that is part of the state's property. You might not want to do that here. It's wild. Yeah, thankfully I'm not, and that's horrible to say. Thankfully I'm not bipolar 1, because that is the extreme and the more dangerous version. Bipolar 2 still isn't great, because if you think about mood, it's a very generalized term. I have a mood disorder. So that was a very blanket statement, right? I'm in a good mood. I'm in a bad mood. I'm in a sour mood. I'm in a angry mood. You know, it's like Facebook. Like they have the option of putting the mood there, which I find hilarious. Except yours is bigger, and it shifts very fast. I think it's called cycling. I don't know if that's with bipolar 1 or 2. But I know my moods stick for a while and then they shift. But they're not as severe as they used to be. My depression phases were not great. I'm talking about the mania. The depression is just as bad. I think that the worst of it was in 2020, where I was just I would lie in bed all day. I don't know if you've done that other than when you're actually physically ill and you just can't get out of bed and you feel terrible. Well, in this case, you're not physically sick, yet you feel terrible and don't want to open your eyes, and just being conscious hurts. So you want to be asleep. That's what you do. I've done it a few times. Either that or you can't get to sleep. That's the other one. Where you end up being awake to like the wee hours of the morning, 2, 3 a.m. You see the sunrise, you start to hear the birds, and you're like, I should probably go to sleep now. And sometimes you can't, so you just stay awake. It sucks. Not great. And the severity of the condition is also, how do I put this? There are things in place for how bad it is. Like in Social Security disability insurance, you think of someone who's like physically disabled. Something happened to them where they're disabled. But the mental part of it always feels so odd. Like you talk about mental disability and how you don't function like most people do. And you have to just kind of live with that. Like no one wants, there's no comfort other than knowing you have something. Like when I was diagnosed as bipolar 2, that was a relief. It helped to know something is wrong and it has a name. And then I could start to figure out what to do from there. Medication was the one I was against at the start. You tell yourself things like, is it going to change who I am? I don't want that to happen. I want to stay who I am. I don't want to become someone else and all that nonsense. All it does is help you not feel terrible. Your personality is the same. You are the same. You just don't feel as bad if you take it, which is nice, I admit. I have noticed recently, it's probably partially spring, but I have had those moments of, oh, things are okay. Immediately followed by suspicion of, wait, why are things okay? Am I getting manic? Am I going to be manic again? What's happening? The drawback of that is you start to be concerned about feeling fine and feeling good even, because you worry you're starting to tip into mania. Once you've been there, part of you really wants to go back and part of you does not want to go back there. But you are no longer in control. You don't want to be in that again. No matter how good you felt. You feel real good. Real good. Too good. I lost my train of thought. Talking about mania. I was talking about depression. There we go. So that's hard to figure out. Like when you're in an actual depression and when you're going into mania, the medication helps. Slapshot's Roadhouse. Hello. We're talking about bipolar and mental illness. Welcome. Or I'm talking, I should say. It is World Bipolar Day. I mean, the thumbnail's obvious. But, again, what's being brought to the attention is World Bipolar Day is today because it's Vincent Van Gogh. What is it? It's his birthday, and he was, I want to say posthumously, but basically it's understood that he was diagnosed after his death as very likely having bipolar. So they are using him as the, I don't want to call him a mascot, but they put the holiday today for that reason. And it does bring some attention to it in a very obvious way. Like when you say such a famous artist had such an illness, and everyone goes, really? But then all you have to talk about is, you know, like learning a little more about him other than being like, oh, he did Starry Night, which is a painting I like. And, you know, I didn't know much more about it. It's like, I like that painting. And then finding out how unwell he was. To the point where he killed himself. Or ended his self. You gotta be careful what you say on YouTube or else they get angry. So he ended himself, so to speak. In not a great way either. You know, like, pointed something at him and used it. And then didn't die for 2 days. It's pretty rough. Like, that does, like, the pin on it. Like, he was not well. Other than the fact that he cut off his ear. Other than the fact that he had these serious mood swings. Like, highs, like, really happy-go-lucky out of it. Like, out of his mind, almost. Doing a lot. Staying up for days at a time. That sort of thing. And then the crippling depression. You know, the drinking. The wallowing in his own misery sort of thing. I've done that plenty. It's not a great thing to do, but I've done it. So bringing attention via, you know, a very famous artist is a good thing, but you also have to be careful because you don't want to put that mindset of, oh, those who suffer for their art. Like, no. He didn't suffer for his art. He was very unwell. He wasn't a famous artist at the time of his death. No, things were not great for him at the time, for his whole life. It was only after the fact. Gizmo. What's Gizmo? I must have missed that. Gizmo makes me think of something in a movie. I don't know why. Well, I rambled on for 22 minutes. So if any of you who are here... Oh, I didn't click on you. Hello. Laptop, hello. Have some questions or concerns, even, about the condition, do tell. That's the main idea of what this is. Gizmo's the cat, that's right. That makes sense. I don't know what I think Gizmo is. Sugar Kitty would be like, I like your cat. Sounds about right. Excuse me. I'm tired. It's another little bit about it. The condition is such that you're always spending a lot of energy to deal with your mood fluctuations, whatever they are. So the hard part about it is there's stuff going on internally here that you never see, that I'm just kind of going, steady, keep it together. Nothing too severe, but like that just now, I'm tired. I am. I can feel it. Guess what? Being tired is a mood. Did you know that? I knew that. I found out that. It sucks. Bipolar 2. It sucks. I get a shirt. Bipolar 2. It sucks. Oh, I know why. I just had some food. And I've learned over the years that after I eat, sometimes I get like all the blood in my body is like, screw the rest of it. Let's go to the stomach. So I get a little weary. And shake it off usually. Like I actually have to shake. Physically shaking my head makes it feel a little better. Ugh. You don't want to yawn on stream, damn it. You got stuff to do. You're entertaining, damn it. Ugh. Ugh. I will be having some whiskey later, though. But like I said, this is a dry stream. Just because of the topic. And it doesn't. It is not a good idea to promote, you know, mental health problems and then drink at the same time. I'm mentally ill. This is great. Tastes like... No. I can talk about the self-medicating, though. I'll touch on that. I'll touch on the early days of self-medicating with alcohol, where I just drank to start to feel like buzzed or even never seriously drunk. Sometimes I would get to the point where I was, you know, not quite steady when I was walking. but I think I would just dabble into more than a little tipsy. So I just felt something, felt, that feeling of, I remember it well. And the whole idea behind my channel, behind the curtain, is because I got into whiskey, I learned to understand my reliance on alcohol at the time being a bad thing. Like self-medicating was not a good thing, and whiskey in particular is something that can be enjoyed, savored. The smell, the taste, the color, all that can be something that centers me on enjoying the experience rather than the casual background of staring at my screen, feeling miserable, and drinking a few, like, numerous beers. Like I would drink a 6-pack a night, sort of thing. And not a good idea. Don't do that. I was not doing well for myself. I was self-medicating. It wasn't good. But thankfully, due to whiskey, in the oddest way, like the whole story itself is like you started drinking hard liquor and felt better. Like, yes, I started drinking hard liquor, enjoying the experience, enjoying the community, like having an outlet for people to be like, hey, this is stuff that people can enjoy. Don't take shots of it, please. You can, I just don't recommend it. There are other ways to enjoy whiskey that aren't getting you trashed. And that was the important part. I could enjoy whiskey slowly, savor it, and I also got a hold on how I'm feeling, what my mood was like when I drank. And there's a certain point where I start to feel it up here, and that's when I know I need to slow down, stop, have some food, drink some water, and get back to a safe place. It's also why I carry around a breathalyzer in my car, so I know where I'm at. I will bring that on my trip, too. I don't think I'll need it, because I don't think I'll have to drive most of the time. My friend Greg will likely be driving most of the time there. I will have the car for when I want to go around, when they are busy. But I don't plan to drink more than a couple drinks. Usually my stopping point, 2 drinks. 2 drinks within a little over an hour. That's where I'd like to stop. I'm talking lower percentage, not the high stuff. If I have one big pour of a 50% whiskey, it's not a good idea. Don't do that. That'll go straight to my head, even if I've had food. It's not the best. Ugh. The other thing about bipolar, which I was mentioning, is because it's so devastating to how you're able to function. Like just how you're able to function, how you're able to deal with the day-to-day. That after my diagnosis and after finding out what was wrong, after having panic attacks, that didn't help either. So that's the other part of it, but it's not necessarily bipolar. That's my other issues. Joining on and being like, hey, guess what? Blech. Panic attack. Anyhow, after that, I got medicated. I found it harder to do work. Like just going to work itself is a real struggle. To the point where eventually I got laid off, along with a couple other people. So yeah, it wasn't just me. Whoa. Epic bipolar mustache detected. Epic Ben detected. You did it again, Ben. You're not whiskey uncensored. Who are you? Who are you, Ben? Panic attacks are the worst. They're great. I've had at least 2, probably 3, if I think about it. And the worst of it is it can be caused by social situations or being out in public. Sometimes too much noise, I think. I found it's easier for me to have, like, put earplugs in certain situations. Loud music, loud restaurants. I haven't had to do that yet, but I did it once recently. But there was a fairly busy restaurant and live music. That's when it's like, nope. Ha! And that helps slightly, but ugh. What was my point? Why do I have to get tired now? Damn you. So yes, it can stop you from being able to work, like do a job, any job, all the jobs, because all your energy goes into just trying to maintain some level of stability in general. Like you're fighting how you're feeling and how it's shifting all the time. So it's like something that's being jerked around and stays still for a little bit. And then, so you're always trying to navigate this. And that's exhausting. You can imagine trying to like just hold on to something that keeps moving. And you're like, Isn't it great? Doesn't need, the thing about panic attacks is they don't really need anything. They'll just be like, hey, you know what? Grocery shopping. I've had, I'm trying to think. No, I've had 3 at least. One, I woke up and I felt it. Like I felt it. I was having a panic attack. I couldn't go to work. Like I couldn't even leave my apartment. I felt so bad. So I had to call out of work. I used a sick day because I was not well. Couldn't leave my apartment. And I just went back to bed. Thankfully I was able to get to sleep. But it didn't go away. Like I woke up later. And thankfully I had an appointment with my therapist. And she got to witness me being like I felt like everyone was looking at me. I felt like people were looking at me through the windows. It was really hard to drive to my appointment because I thought people in the cars around me were all looking at me. Let's not think about that for too long. Clearly they weren't. That's the worst part. You have to talk to yourself in your head. You're like, no one's looking at you. But you feel it. You think they are. And that's all it takes. So that was that one. That was the real, like, something's very wrong. That was that one. I think I really I got into medication after that. Like, I was very against it for the longest time, and then I had that happen. And that was a swift reminder of, yeah, you should probably get medication for this. Another one I had was actually in Disney World. Out of nowhere. Like, we were just going around the park, and suddenly my brain was like, there are a lot of people here, aren't there? And I could feel myself, I could feel it starting, and thankfully I was able to get away into a somewhat vacant park. Like, you know, one of those little empty park places where you can stop and rest and that sort of thing. And I managed to, you know, get through it. But I remembered it. It's still in there. How weird I felt suddenly. Disney World of all places. Like, come on. It is a theme park. There are a lot of people. But still, it's like I was just trying to have a good time. Panic attack showed up. The other one, the third one that I can recall, happened at spin class. Not during the class, thankfully. But class ended. Everyone had left. And I've always had this, as long as I've been doing it, I've had a very severe discomfort with the situation that happens after class ends, is that everyone goes to the lockers and gets their shoes and gets, you know, switches shoes because you have spin shoes on, gets their coat or their clothes or their bags, whatever, and then leave. And what the problem is that everyone kind of congeals into one spot for a while. Mostly women, so no problem there. But because it's so many of them in such a small area, I wait. So I stay in the room where the bikes are and just kind of patiently wait as everyone filters out. And then I go out there and I leave. Or I go out there and, you know, get my bag. There's not people everywhere. Switch my own shoes, that sort of thing. But this time, they went to do that, and I felt that little, like the panic feeling where it's just like you like feel sick to your stomach. I remember it was that one that time. I felt like I was going to get sick. And, God, it's such a god-awful feeling. Like, just thinking about it, it's like, So I went to the restroom and just locked myself in there. Thankfully, I did not get sick, but I felt like I was gonna. And managed to calm down after that and get out of there. And sat down for a little bit and then left. But that was the third one. Don't think there have been others. There might have been some smaller ones. There's always that like underlying instability. It's not so bad now that I've been medicated for my bipolar condition and my anxiety condition, because that's what both these pills are for. As a reminder, you know, there they are. always right in front of me. So yeah, it's just mental illness can screw up with your life so badly that you can't work. And I'm on SSDI, so Social Security Disability Insurance. So that is, I don't want to call it a blessing, but I'm very fortunate to have it, since that is what covers my rent, and I would not be able to live on my own without that. And the bonus now is, of course, I'm able to do this. Not strictly this, but, you know, live stream with whiskey and talk to people and share samples and do raffles. Patreon and memberships, all that has been huge. You know, like starting to life change sort of thing. Like I can see myself getting better and getting in a better place. Maybe having some kind of financial situation that is not just living with disability and getting the food stamps every month to get food. Food's expensive. Like we all know that now, food's expensive. So there are a lot of things I had to get through to get to the situation I'm in, which is better than when I was actually working a job I hated doing. And that was not helping my mental well-being at all. Everything moved. Weird alien looking scenes. That was the worst part about it. I felt, you know, it became the people, like everyone around me. Suddenly I was very concerned because suddenly I realized I was having this attack, and you don't really know how that's going to make you behave. Like the out of breath feeling, you know, your heart beating fast. It's all true. So I was very lucky that I got away from the crowds and was able to just get away from it, because nothing really serious happened, but there was definitely that, you know, tunnel vision and all those other feelings, breathing fast, feeling like my heart's beating very fast. And you're bugging out. And it goes away, but it really puts things into focus suddenly, and not in the great way, in the bad way. Zenbit, hello. Did you throw your guest out? Did you give them whiskey? This is a dry stream for me, though. I encourage you all to drink whiskey now, to raise a glass to people who do live with this disorder, and unlike me, don't talk about it as much because it is uncomfortable. I'm not great with talking about it, but I feel like I have to. Stigma-wise, like as soon as you say you have mental illness, people go, oh. Not a great feeling. No one wants to be stigmatized. And it's hard to talk about something you can't see. Because there's a lot going on right now, mental health wise. At the very least, people are actually saying the word mental health and it being a norm. People talk about their mental health. People get stressed out and don't know what to do about it. But I encourage you to do bubble baths. That helps me out. The very hot water. I don't know why, but helpful. I just wish I had a bigger bathtub. That's all. Ooh, that was a thought. I don't think the place I'm going to has a jacuzzi, but I wish it did. Now that I think about it, like, wait a minute. No, it doesn't have it. I am tempted to go take a walk. That's another thing. Exercise. Very important for mental health. And if you're a member of the channel, or if you're a patron, you will know that I have recently, over the past year and a half, 2 years, God, how long has it been? Put a lot of effort into physical health, as well as mental health. They're a thing. They're kind of conjoined. That stress and anxiety I get, that, you know, twitchy feeling of just feeling not great. Physical activity helps that. So, you know, causing yourself physical pain and discomfort. Your body's like, whoa, okay, stop. I'll calm down. My brain will calm down. Stop it. Stop it. I generally feel better. Like I feel like I'm in the best physical health I have been in my life right now. It could be better, but it was also a lot worse for a very long time. What is this? Your stream is an oasis for folks who benefit from the topics we cover. Oasis, that sounds nice. But yeah, I do try to. Whiskey is supposed to be something that brings in all of us to experience something in a positive, in a good way. So the easiest way I can describe it is you pour whiskey for people you care about or who you are entertaining, whatever, and you talk about it because each one of you is going to experience it differently. There are going to be similarities, and I think people love that. There are going to be differences, and I think people love that. If they don't like that, screw them. People who can't embrace the fact that someone else has a different experience are going to have a hard time in life. But with that comes the inclusion. You know, the difference is a good thing that can still be included in the experiences everyone's having. I think that's the best way I can sort of sum up what I'm trying to do with the whiskey world here in my own little bubble, is to bring whiskey to people who think it's for snobs and think it's for the grandfathers, that sort of thing, and point out that it isn't. The tasting notes and everything, you're never wrong as long as you're being honest. It's your experience, and everyone has a different one. And that's the fun part, is to experience the same thing in different ways with others. Is this making sense? It sounds like it is, but I'm not sure. So that's why I do cover topics like this. One, I'm in it. Like, it's always happening to me. As soon as this camera goes off, still there. It's still in my head. It doesn't go away. And oftentimes it's a problem. Most of the time it's a problem. Like as I mentioned earlier in the stream, it's been particularly angsty lately. I've just been in a very sour mood, and I don't like it. Or very irritable, like very, very irritable. Every little thing, to the point where I'm like, I have said to myself in the past week, a couple times, I'm going to snap. And that means I'm going to snap at someone because I'm getting so, like, tightened up about it. And having trouble controlling the reaction, the emotional reaction of snapping at someone in a nasty way, like telling someone off. I don't want to do that. So I have to pull the reins really hard lately. It's been pretty chill today, except it was still there this morning. I was trying to relax and play games, and all I was doing was getting really frustrated. So I put it away. I said, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to take a shower and try to focus on other things. I do have a lot to do over the next few days. Sunday is a stream with a guest. 4-Leaf Whiskey will be here. Monday, I'll be doing a holiday stream because Rabbit's excellent whiskey is what's going to be about. I'll talk about a few of my favorites, and really it's an excuse to pour some whiskey that I like. That's it. If I had some of those like little egg things, the plastic ones, I would pour the whiskey in there and drink out of that. It would taste awful, but it'd be funny. I'm not going to do that though. Screw that. And then Tuesday, nothing, thankfully. And then Wednesday, I will be getting on a plane. And it'll also be next month. So April Fool's Day is in there, but I'm not doing an April Fool's Day stream this week, month, year, whatever it is. Yeah, that's funny. I just realized that the Easter holiday, the Easter Monday, so the day everyone gets off, is or should get off, I don't know, is April 1st. I have thoughts in my head about how the certain religious holiday that is coming up I can see the humor. I'm trying to phrase this correctly. And if a certain someone like didn't come out of the cave, was not risen on the third day. It was like April Fools. He doesn't come out. He just stays in there. He's actually not alive. None of your sins are forgiven. He's gone. Oh, that's morbid. Blasphemy, I think. That's what that is. I can't help it. The Monday lands on a first. I know it's supposed to be Easter Sunday, so it's technically not. But still, it's funny to think of. Once again, if you do have any questions about bipolar of any sort or mental illness stuff in general, do tell. If you're comfortable sharing your experience or sharing what you know about with either family or friends who have had to deal with it, this is the time to do it, so we can at least make it a little more, what's the word? Show just how commonplace it is the real thing. Like mental illness and mental health. Mental health should be very commonplace, but it still isn't. I don't think, in my case it did happen, but I'm fairly certain, and you can correct me if this did happen to you, that mental health is not something that gets checked out during your physical. Like if you get a yearly physical, the doctor's not like, and so how are you mentally? They've only recently started doing that. And even though they do, I went to a thing yesterday. Yeah, a follow-up appointment. And they do ask me how they're doing. The problem is, if I say I'm not doing great, and I have mental illness, so usually it's a little bit of I made it here, so I'm all right. But if you say, yeah, I feel depressed or whatever, they have a list of other questions that you have to answer. That will take a significant amount of time to do. So in my case, I use humor, and I see that long list of questions I'll have to say yes or no, or how bad I'm feeling, and I immediately am like, you know what, I'm fine. So even when they're asking about your mental health, there are things in place to be like a deterrent instead of simple questions. It's a list, like 10 questions of just like, how are you feeling? And I have to do those anyway, every month, which is why I can pass. If I were seeing the doctor for a physical and I was feeling very bad and I didn't already have a diagnosis, I would not make light of it. I would be, I'd be concerned and I want some assistance on the matter. So I encourage you to do that. If you go to your doctor's appointment, they do ask you, don't brush it off like I did, because I, one, have a condition. I know that already, so I know what's wrong. And two, I have to go to an appointment every month with a psychiatrist to get my medication. And I have to answer a list of questions about how I'm feeling, how I've been feeling for the past 2 weeks. This bad, that bad, all these, I've answered them so many times. So that is a norm for me. I have to deal with answering those questions. They weigh me. They check my blood pressure every month. I imagine most people don't have that happen unless you deal with this illness or mental illness. It feels very weird. It's the same routine every time. Go in, weigh me, see how much I weigh, take my blood pressure, answer a bunch of questions, talk to a psychiatrist, make sure my medication is up to date. Done. It's weird, but it's good. It's good that that is a standard. Won't tell me that, Sugar Kitty. Monday is also the day you should go to like your drugstores and getting the discounted candy. That's what I'm going to do. Might check if there's a 10-question form that touches on mental state, but the staff doesn't seem to do much more than fill it out. File it away. Yeah, it is. Unless it's severe, I'm pretty sure, the doctor or nurse or whatever you're seeing, unless it's really bad, like something's wrong, and you just said like I'm ready to, they probably won't really do anything. They might talk about it if they're a good doctor. They might ask you questions like, "So, what's going on? Why are you feeling this way?" Da 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 da. They'll try to find the reason, if there is one. With me, there doesn't need to be a reason. I can just feel bad because I'm alive. I'm still breathing, so sometimes I'll feel miserable. Osteopaths? Osteopath? I don't know what that is. Oh, tell Ken I say hello. I don't know what happened with his computer and why he's up and running again, but I'm glad he is. Hopefully it didn't cost him a lot of money. It was just something was working how that wasn't before. Sure, he's gonna make me look up this word. Damn it. We have about 9 minutes left in the stream, so again, if you have any questions or you want to share anything, now is the time. I do this every year, or at least I plan to. Keep that in mind. Oh, that's not even right. Oh, SEO. I'm really disturbed that it's always an AI result first. That's a fun word. Well, I can find some near me, yay. Pseudoscientific system alternative medicine. I don't know, I've never seen one. I will put a caveat on this. Finding the right person to help you with your mental problems and the one who can help you with your medication is the hard part, because it is very discouraging to spend years of your life trying to figure out what will work for you and getting bounced around between a bunch of people who are supposed to help you and prescribe you medication. That is not a problem I relish having had. That sucked a lot. I went through at least 3 or 4 different people who were supposed to help me figure out what meds to take. And it didn't really help. It made me be awake and play video games all the time. I just put around on the internet. I still do a lot of that, mind you. But at least now, it's in a little bit more positive light because 1, there's a social outlet. 2, it also I have my own type of, I don't want to call it work, but I'm often cruising the internet for whiskey stuff, and of course to do the content I make with thumbnails and such. That's a bit of a chore sometimes, and the videos. Sometimes I get little ideas to put something into the video, and then I have to figure out where I can get that, either a soundbite or a GIF or a tasting note. That's sometimes pretty tricky, just getting a picture of something. That's why I haven't seen many of them lately, because they're just exhausting to have to add them in every time I say something. I do it occasionally. But the editing problem is being worked on now. No. Yeah, exactly. Diagnosis and bureaucratic hoops shouldn't be the obstacles that they are. I'm also very lucky to have health care. Living in America, it's a good thing I do have it. I was able to get onto the Medicare, Medicaid system because it's clear that I'm not going to get better. Well, I'm never going to be cured of this illness because it's a brain thing. It's not going to go away. You're going to learn to manage it. And I think that's the hardest part. Is once you do get a diagnosis, there's a relief in knowing that you have a name for what you have, and then the other part sinks in is that this is a very serious condition, and you'll have to live with this for the rest of your life. Managing it every day, every second of every day. Oof. Okay. Yeah, I figured he had to buy a new one. I've been thinking I need to back up my computer, not because I think anything's going to happen to it, and even if something did, I could get, like I have the laptop that was graciously donated to the channel. I'll be using that on the trip. But this one's been struggling a little, and I know I need more. It's at the point where it's a computer that can't run the new Windows, so that in itself is going to be a slight problem. So that's not something I have to worry about now. Not until a situation like Ken, where suddenly it just goes, "Yeah, I'm done," which is why I feel I have to back up a lot of stuff, mind as well as body. Do's and the do. I've never seen one, but I am of the mindset of mind and body, and it's all true. That's the worst part. When you talk to professionals, they're like, eat better and exercise better and don't drink as much. It's like, okay, I'm not going to do anything. At least when you're having the mental struggles to begin with, those things are just, it's like, no. But when you get in a situation like me, which I'm very fortunate to be in, having medical health, having food assistance, being able to live on my own, having my own space, which is very important to me, and exercising and eating food on a regular basis. As I mentioned, I think I mentioned on Friday, last night, what day is it? Yeah, last night, that I am seeing a nutritionist soon. We met for an introduction thing and what I want to do because of the cholesterol thing, which still isn't a big problem, but that's what spurred this idea of seeing a nutritionist. But I'll be talking to them next month when I return from my trip. I'll figure something out. I'm actually in the process of finishing up the meal plan for 3 days. Super annoying. Find a guilty box? Yeah. The bottle itself is right next to me, though. That's not. There's nothing in there. No, wait. I have 2. No, that one's very empty. I don't really want to have 2, knowing how much they are. I didn't even think about this. I just picked it because it was a shirt that didn't have anything on it, and I wanted to make it rather neutral for this experience. No whiskey, technically. And everything else I have is either like anime or comic books. Anime, comic books, whiskey related, most of it. And Pizza John t-shirts. I have quite a few of those. Because it's funny. Clearly I'm inebriated. I just did that too fast. Two-tone shirt is on team. Yep. And it's cozy. That's the other thing. It's a nice soft shirt. But it's wrinkled as hell. Because all my clothes are. Of course they are. Ironing? What's that? I don't even have an iron. Nor an ironing board. I couldn't do it if I wanted to. And I don't want to. On the plus side, there's an ironing thing when you go to a hotel, usually. So I can use that. I'm going to bring a couple of button-up shirts because apparently it's warmer out west right now. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how warm it is. It's 52 Fahrenheit here today, which is great, which is why I want to take a walk right now, which I may be doing, to go get some caffeine because of how I'm feeling. 1, the walk will get my blood moving and I'll wake up a little bit. And 2, I'll be able to get a caffeinated beverage when I get there and then walk back. It will be a little awkward though because of if the owner's there. But that's due to how do I put this the easiest way? Grieving for both of us for reasons. So that'll be an awkward conversation when that happens, but they might not be there. I don't like the fact that it's a Saturday though. Because other people might be walking around too. Oh well, we'll see. I may fizzle out as soon as the stream ends and go like, nah, I changed my mind. That's what a mood disorder is. I want to do a thing. I take it back. I want to take a nap. Never know how it's gonna go. It's great. Oh, there we go. 5 o'clock. It's been an hour. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for celebrating, or at least talking about bipolar with me on World Bipolar Day. If any of your friends and family have issues, please seek medical help. If you think you have issues, please talk to a professional. That's all I can all say. But keep in mind that this is a safe space for dealing with the issues that you may have and trying to make everyone feel comfortable in the whiskey community when there's so much horrible stuff going on right now. I want this to be a relatively good place to be, hang out, drink whiskey, and just generally have a nice time. With that, as always, live long and prosper. Don't forget to be awesome. And I will see you out there. Where's the button? Where is it? Hey, thank you for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.